Good day, guys. Hooray, we have a science video today. I actually have several different science topics that have come up recently that has given me some ideas of making some videos. But this video is about the spooking mechanics of the animals. Now, not like the videos I've made in the past. I've made several videos, but they were all focused on the alertness meter being built up and how to prevent spooking the animals and how the buildup of it all works, how to approach the animals, things like that. But to my knowledge, I've never actually done a video dedicated to what happens once the animals are spooked. So in their spook state, and running around like crazy, there's a few questions there, and I probably have answered them or brought them up in videos prior, but I think they're kind of like all over the place, just in the middle of me rambling or talking about something. Now this idea for the video came from a question on the official Way of the Hunter Discord. I was diddling around doing my own thing, and I got a little mention, a little ping on the Discord that a buddy of mine on there said that Bumblewoot might want to take a look at this question, because he was answering it for the individual that was in there. And basically the question was about things like when they spook a deer herd, how long does it run? How far does it run? Does it flee to another need zone? Is it fleeing randomly? How long does it wait until it returns to a need zone? Does it come back to its own need zone? Does it go to the next one? Questions like that. So I took some time. I was only on my phone at the time, but I did take some time and I typed out the answer. So what'll happen is I'll probably pull up what I typed, just so I don't, I get the summary of it in the video, and then we'll kind of flush it out more. It's not really that well written because I was just on my phone. But I think it gets most of the points across, and there's a bit more to go over. But I am trying to find some animals, because we'll also do a bit of examples, or at least, observe what happens and see if we can relate it. So I'm in the highlands, just because I need nice elevation. We need to be able to see the animals, how far they run, how they're running, things like that. To go over it. Now, just as a disclaimer of any other science we do, none of this can be 100%. A lot of this is my observation over a year and a half of playing and watching this. This is stuff I've known for a little while, but we've never had any full confirmation of a lot of this stuff. And so it's all in theory, but it's going to be probably the best info that's out there on how it is, even if it's not 100% accurate on exactly what's happening. If you think about it that way, it'll still be quite relatable. We can probably use this chamois. Is that an albino one? I think it is, isn't it? Well, this is interrupting my science video. What I'm going to do is, I'm on the hiker difficulty, but I have all the hunter sense stuff turned off. I'm actually, for the science, I'm going to turn it all back on. And I do want to see what this guy is. Actually, I don't need to turn that much on. It's just a young female. I don't think you can mount them, or taxidermy them and mount them in the lodge, right? I don't know. It's just a young one, so I probably won't even take it. And then I think there's like a solo over here. I can still use it for testing. Anyways, so let me jump over and I'll find my little thing I wrote up on the Discord. Okay, so here's my answer to the questions. It was the question was asked by Suzia. I think I pronounced that. And now it is actually really poorly written. I hadn't read it back to it now, but I'm on my phone sort of typing it out. It takes a while to write all that out. So anyways, I'll try to translate, and then we'll flush it out a bit more. So basically, this is just describing what happens once they've been spooked. So best I can figure, when the herds go into a spook status, they all set individual waypoints away from the hunter, but not always. So I've had animals flee actually towards the hunter. Typically, they will flee away, of course. But what basically I'm getting at there is the animals. They're all individual at that point in time, so they can all set their own little waypoints. That's why sometimes they'll scatter. But there is a herd leader. So about the herd leader, to fully understand this, you sort of have to understand how the herds travel or about. So I'll get into that too here in a minute. So if the deer waypoints set themselves too far away from the herd leader, then their waypoints start to get set to the area of the leader. So not quite clear there, but what that is talking about is when they scatter. If their little waypoints that those animals are setting in their little computer programming head gets too far from wherever the herd leader fled to, then they will correct and come back there. So you can have deer run different directions, but you'll see them do a U-turn once they've gotten too far from the herd leader. The spot that they end up is rather random, as they just set spook waypoints until their spook meter calms down. So this is a little bit of a thing that's not 100%, because how far they spook is probably time-based, because everything else in the game is done by meters. They'll be spooked for 5 seconds, they'll be spooked for 12 seconds or whatever. There is a chance that the spook meter is actually done distance, like they will run a certain distance, but I don't think so. The developers pretty much run all their meters. They love the meters in the game, like the alert meter and all that sort of stuff. There's all sorts of meters, and it's probably just a spook meter that builds up and has a little timer that clicks down, which is most likely what it is. The spook meter length depends on the difficulty of the game setting you're on and the type of spook and weapon used. So if you run up to them and spook them, that'll add, it'll be a 6-second spook. If you use a rifle, it'll be a 12-second spook. I'm just pulling numbers out here now, but just so you understand, if you fire multiple shots, that's going to add to the spook timer. There is going to be a maximum length on the spook timer. How long they're pretty much running around crazy, like, when they're running around making all the spook bubbles, breaking all the sticks. And, I swear that the animals, when they're running away, they're looking down at their feet and making sure they're breaking every single stick they come across. After they have calmed down, they will remain at their new random location until some game trigger event gets them to go, oh, time to go to a zone, in which they will go to the zone that the current time is in. Sometimes they'll come back to the same zone if you spook them early enough in the time frame. So I don't know how much that made sense. These guys are still drinking. I'm probably gonna take that chamois there. But that is sort of the gist of it. So to sort of give the example here, say I shot one of these and we had chamois run this way, chamois run this way. Ooh, no frames there. What would happen is one of these chamois is the herd leader. Now there's only certain ways that you can there's only 2 ways actually I know that you can find who the herd leader is. One of them though isn't very effective or helpful, because to discover who the herd leader is, the herd leader ends up dead. So and just as a side note, when that happens, as soon as the current herd leader passes on and he does a little death pop and falls over, a new herd leader is assigned immediately. All right, and all the little animals know. Now, how it assigns the herd leader, no one knows. That hasn't been scienced at all. It's too difficult to try and figure out what the herd leader is. That'll be another science day, actually. But there's certain ways. But it's just important to know that one of these guys is the leader, because if the leader runs over here with 3 of them and the other 4 run over here and another one runs over here, there's a certain maximum distance that they can flee away from the leader, then all of a sudden they'll turn right around. If they don't hit the maximum distance, then they will stop out here. But when the spook timer runs out, the game goes, oh wait, I'm too far away from the herd leader. And that's when you'll see, you probably noticed this before, if they scatter, that you'll have a group sitting over here and then a few over here, and they all kind of trot back. That's the game correcting, saying, oh, you're too far from your herd leader, come on back. But they're no longer spooking, so they're not like running at full tilt, because that's what they do when they're spooking. They're just doing like a fast travel trot to get back. So you'll probably recognize that happen because it helps to locate the herds if that happens. Like if they run over this hill somewhere in these trees, you can find the stragglers that'll be over here and they'll lead you back to them. And that's kind of why the herd leader is important. You guys are moving out. Must be heading to the rest. Yeah, they're going to be heading to rest time. But maybe we'll send a shot in here and see what happens. Or I could just find another one depending. But how the herd leader works is it's primarily used just for travel, keeping the herd together. So, see this little solo guy here? He's a herd leader, but he has no herd. But his programming works just the same as like the leader of this herd here. So typically how the traveling works, just because it does sort of apply to the conversation, is, now again theory, but it is going to be close to how it works. The herd leader here, he's the one that decides when to go to the drink zone, when to go to the rest zone or whatnot, right? And all the other animals in the herd all make their own little waypoints. They're all little individual animals, but there's only a certain radius that they can make their little waypoint. See how they're all kind of, see how this one's moving here? He's got assigned another little waypoint over here, and he'll stop eventually. There he goes, he's going to stop here. Because the game just said, oh, I suppose I should have put a disclaimer here first. If you don't want your immersion ruined, you might not want to continue the video, because I basically talk about these guys like they're little computers, little programs. So anyways, his little waypoint just set them there. They sit there, and you know, there's a little roll to reassign, so they look kind of realistic and walking around. But now I don't know the exact number, but each one of these little waypoints that they assign is going to be within a certain radius of the herd leader. So it's like 30 meters or something like that. So when the herd leader gets up to leave, he's the only one knows what he's doing, and he will like try or start going to like the drink zone or the rest zone. Like these guys didn't move out. What that basically is the herd leader changed his little waypoint, and then they all had to waypoint over with him. Something similar to that anyways. But when they do decide to leave, they got to go to the rest zone next. The herd leader will start to go. Now they all kind of go at the same time, but they all kind of distribute their waypoints around. Now here's how you can tell the herd leader, sort of. The herd leader will set his waypoints almost exactly onto the game trails. So all the little paths, I don't think you see the game trail from here. Can we see a game trail? Anyways, if there's a little path, his waypoints pretty much sit right on it. So he'll go like here, and then here if there's a path, and then if the path turns, he'll turn. He won't always be on the game trail, because he's setting like a waypoint every 30 meters, every 20 meters or something ahead. And if there is a straight line, he'll cut the corner. Like this looks like a game trail here, yeah. So if he's here, he'll set his waypoint here and like walk right here. But he's always setting his waypoint on the game trail. So then if he sets here, he can go across here. So that's convenient that there's sort of a game trail here. So he's following this. It's my understanding and my belief that these are all handcrafted game trails in there, because they take roundabout ways and different ways into the need zones. So quite a bit of work, but I think someone's drawn these and connecting them in and all that. Now the other animals, they don't know anything about the game trail. All they're doing is he's setting his waypoint and ending up here, and they're just kind of dancing around him, setting their little waypoints, all staying within 30 meters. And he's not always in the lead. Very rarely is, because it's a little radius circle that they can set their waypoints to. So they'll set in front and stuff like that and kind of dance around on them. But anyways, that's pretty much how it travels. And the same sort of thing happens when there's a spook thing, is during the spook, they're all kind of on their own, but there is a maximum distance that they can get away from them. And then once the spook timer wears off, then they've got to reset their waypoint back to within, you know, I am pulling a number out here, but it's something like 30 meters. Like these guys aren't very far away from each other. It does vary by the species, of course. Anyway, so that's a big ramble there. So we're going to do some examples just to observe what happens. What else was there to cover? Oh yeah, there is a few other little things to cover, right? Because how long that they spook for. Can I get up here? This might be okay if River can do it. So how long that they spook for depends on the species, depends on the game difficulty level, depends on how you spook them. Your noise or your gun or your bow. And that just sets how long that spook meter runs for. There is a little side thing here that if you're a bow hunter, crossbow hunter, I don't know what's a bug in the game. I think I asked and didn't get a response to it. But if you took a shot at these guys, like if you're close and you shoot with a bow or the crossbow, they will do the spook state, like when they're running and going crazy, but they won't be breaking any sticks. Well, there may be one or two that break a stick, or maybe even all of them. That's why I think it's a bug. But quite often enough, if I took a bow or crossbow shot and these guys spooked from that, they'll take off and there'll be no little sticks breaking or bubbles or anything like that. So I think it's a bug. Because I have done crossbow and bow shots, say on these guys, and one or two of them will break sticks as they run and bubble away. But if you use the gun, they all do it, right? There's all these stick breaking. But yeah, definitely crossbow and bow shots. You know, they only spook for like 5, well, depending on hiker, they only spook for like 5 seconds. They don't even make it very far. But anyways. But yeah, I've never actually timed it, but they can go a good half kilometer away on like a rifle shot or so. But again, it all depends on the difficulty setting. And then basically they're not aiming anywhere. It's just they're just ending up where the herd leader ends up. So it's just that animal. He's setting his waypoints, going off into the hills. It's just a random spot that they end up in, that just around him, whichever that animal lands, wherever he is, that's where they do. And then they will sit there, say they ran up here, they will sit there for quite some time. There's another timer that's ran, that's no doubt dependent on difficulty as well, but eventually they go, or the herd leader goes, I'm in the wrong spot, I shouldn't be here, what time is it? And then the herd leader will check his watch and be like, we're sleepy. Let's head off this way. Now that's when they're not following a game trail, of course. They're off the thing, but they'll pretty much do a straight line. The herd leader will do a straight line pretty much to, as best he can, back to the zone to get rolling again. So if this was at the start of their drink zone, and I shot and they ran off to this hill, and I sat here long enough, if it was at the start of the zone and they calmed down up here and it was still drink time, they would come back to the drink zone. So 100%, I've definitely had them come back to the exact same zone, but it has to be fairly early on, like that zone has to run. But that's typically what happens. When the time runs out, they'll, if it moves into the next time zone or their need zone, they will go to the next one from this spot. They'll do a straight line to it. That's my understanding of it. That's my observation of it. So that is kind of the gist of it. I think I've covered everything in my big long sort of speech. But I did want to do this part, and we'll do some examples here in a second. I just want to make sure I dot all the I's and cross the T's, and I haven't really forgotten anything. But same thing as a disclaimer, this is just what I've observed, and even if some of it mechanically is incorrect, if you still think of it that way, you can at least anticipate what's happening or follow what's happening, because it's probably fairly close to what's going on. But certainly leave any comments or whatnot if there's something else you think is going on or anything like that. There's all sorts of different opinions on this sort of thing. But that's typically what happens. So let's do a test. How long am I? Oh man, 19 minutes. I don't know how I keep talking this long. My voice holds up here. I don't like this situation because of the water, but maybe it'll help because maybe it'll separate them. We learn the most if they actually separate out. I want to be closer, but this should probably still do it. No, see, hiker? Go, guys. There we go. There, go some more. 3 shots. So let's see what happens. Now, are they all going the same way? I was hoping some would go the other way. Oh, there's a little albino. That was really delayed. Hiker does that too, I believe. Yeah, so they're going this way. Now, I'm not too sure. You can't say that the first one is the herd leader. Look, see, these ones still have their waypoint. Basically, they all set their waypoint over here. Look at this one. It barely even spooked. That's the trot. I'm not even sure these ones didn't even spook. Do you see that? So this is the trot I'm talking about. The other, or if they spooked, they only went, maybe they got stuck on the water for the timer. See how short the timer was though? Man, my frames go down on using the scope like this. But see how short the timer was? They barely went anywhere. And I think the timer was so short that 2 of these guys never really left the water because they're getting tangled up on it or not really running. And you see the trot there? That's when their little waypoint said, oh, wait, we've got to get 30 meters within the, close to the herd leader. So now it is interesting because most of the time they do spook together and they all set the waypoint the same. But that's mainly because the noise is coming from the same spot. And the game's probably calculating it all the same or whatnot. But oh man, look at the frames just rock the computer here. It's down to 32, and oh look, now I'm at 99. That's crazy. 106, and now 29. I just can't handle that detail. I don't know. They got some weird programming going on with the optics when they're zoomed out. But yeah, so that was an interesting test. We can find another one to do. I'm not going to take the albino. You basically should, because then it spawns, has a higher chance of spawning another one, but I'm not going to bother with it. Let's see if we can find a different kind of animal to test here. So I'm hoping that kind of makes sense, what I'm all talking about. I thought it was sort of, it's a video I don't think I ever went into detail with. And I'm trying to think what I'm missing. And we went over, I mean, if I ran at them, since it's on hiker difficulty, like running at them, that spook timer would have been about the same. But it's also how far away you're taking the shot. It depends what rifle you have and how far away you are. Because the rifles all have different hunting pressure and a sound profile. Most of them are the same, actually. But the little 22s, you know, don't create anywhere near the hunting pressure or the spook timer that the bigger guns do. So it does matter on the caliber. It certainly matters if it's a bow or crossbow. And it matters if you're just walking into them or not. So, and difficulty plays a big part in it. Alright, so let's find another example. And I forgot, at the start of the video, I don't think I brought this up. I should have brought it up at the start. To get everybody, anyways. If you could, there is if you're at my YouTube page, there's a community tab. If you click on that, there's a little poll running right now, and it's not for any kind of YouTube algorithm-y thing or anything like that. I'm actually doing another science thing, or thinking about doing another science video. And it's about the sandbar deer, and how skittish they are compared to other animals. Because we all know, for the longest time, the most skittish animals in the game are wolf, elk, and red deer. And I'm trying to figure out where the sandbar deer sits in the whole thing. So I don't want to give my opinion on it or anything like that, taint the little poll, but it would be a great help. Because I don't have the same amount of scientists helping me out that I used to. I need to crowdsource this a little bit. I want to see what the opinions are on it. So yeah, if you're on my YouTube page, little community tab, it should be the very top poll. There's 3 choices. Answer one of those, please, and then I'll take it from there. I'm hoping to have it, you know, do it for Sunday or something like that. When's this video come out? This should be Friday's video. Oh goodness! Oh, there's some sandbar now. Well, that's here. Did I alert them? No, that was just a normal call. I'm just curious. I don't want to taint the little pole there, but so I'm on hiker and I'm just going to crouch in. I just want to see when they run here. So I'm over a hill. Oh, and behind rocks, so they're not going to hear me at all. Or they shouldn't, from how the game works. Now, normally you would never approach at this speed crouching. But I'm okay with spooking them. Just want to see here. Technically these days, out of the woods and in the open here, with terrain in between us, they shouldn't be hearing me at all, even at this speed. on this difficulty anyways. Let's just see. Here's a game trail now. Let's just see here what happens. They're going to be hearing me now, I think. Yeah, I'm going to keep walking. They're alerted. What are they at? 61 meters? They picked me up right away. I got pretty close, though. But that's not really a good test. Oh, we can watch how they're spooking, though. Just because the terrain lets me get in way closer. So they're spooking together. It's hard to... You don't always get that. There was a video I did that... Look, see immediately his head goes down? And they all did it at the same time? That's a spook timer running out. So that spook there was just, you know, no gunshot or anything like that. Like, how long was that? 5 seconds? 6 seconds or something? Like, that's all that is. There's a little timer, and now they're out. Now, they all set their waypoints the same. So it is possible that they're setting alongside the herd leader, but I don't think they are, because way too many times in the game I've had them disperse. So they can't possibly really be doing that. Unless maybe the first waypoint gets a little crazy and then they start setting it. Anyways, that's basically how it works. Whatever happens at the start when they go flying all different directions, they're going to find the herd leader again. This is something else that I noticed just started recently, and I don't understand why. An NVIDIA drive or something like that, when I use the binoculars, all the textures have to pop in. Okay. That never happened before. It was just like the one day. I don't remember it happening anyways. Oh well. So you can't really spook these guys. But they're also not too much to show. The other chamois group kind of showed it. How a couple of them never really took off, or they got stuck on the water, and then the timer ran out. so they did the little trot back to the herd leader. But that's what it is. One of these guys is the leader that they're all basing their little waypoints on. And as you can see, they're going to be all within 30 meters of the individual deer. But yeah, I don't know if I'll do a video on that or not, because it's not actually that beneficial to know what the herd leader is. That's like one of my science video ideas. It's not really that beneficial, but if you did want to know, well, the one way I won't talk about because it's too long to explain, and the herd leader ends up dead, so it doesn't really serve any purpose. But you can watch them on these game trails. And if you notice that one of them is sticking to the trail more so than the others, that's most likely the herd leader. It's not necessarily the oldest or the biggest. It could be a female. I've never seen the female herd leader. It's always been males. I don't know. I've only ever really identified 6 in the entire time playing. It's just not that important to try to figure out. It doesn't really give you much of an advantage at all. Other than if you know which one the herd leader is, you know which one they're going to group on. But other than that, doesn't really benefit the player too much to know. Anyways, we're coming up to half an hour. I got all my talking in that I think I needed. Hopefully it helps some people. Or at least is interesting anyways. It's not really a very important mechanic part of it, you know. Doesn't really matter how they're running, as long as you know where they went. But it is important to know that they will return to the need zones, and then that they're just landing wherever the herd leader is landing. But I do find that interesting that they are setting their waypoint in about the same spot. But I'm thinking the game's just calculating the spook the same, like the same angle, right, where they're running. But they could be going off of the herd leaders as well and just copying it. And if that's the case, I don't actually know why they disperse sometimes then. But when they disperse, they have to be setting their own waypoint. The game has to be telling them to go somewhere else, so it's not too important. It's just important to know that where they're going to come back. They're going to find their main person, or their main deer. And I suppose I could do a little test here and just kind of walk at them and see what how skittish they are here. I'm gonna stand up and do it because I don't want to take it forever. So we're gonna leave the binoculars up, and I'm just gonna walk in. And this is, I might, depending on the results of the poll, they're already alerted that was 100 meters walking. I need to do this same test, just what I'm doing now. So yeah, it was only 5 meters walking in, so it's 100 meters standing. If I remember that, that'll help in the next test, because I need to find elk or red deer or something and just do the exact same thing in the open. And binoculars up, walking, standing, and they alerted at 100 meters, which means their alert meter actually built up a little sooner than that. But when I'm looking at the comparison, when I start comparing these guys, I'm looking for significant differences, not like little, 3 meters sooner or, 2 meters later. It has to be significant to, be applicable to the player's gameplay and stuff like that. Anyways, I'm going on too much. And that is what I'm doing these days. That is the science. I kind of wanted to harvest something. I've been around here and didn't shoot anything. And look at that. They didn't even get to 300 meters away. So I guess you can use that instance for the poll, though. So if you were to do that to elk or red deer, if you replace those sandbar with red deer, for example. Now it can be, I'm pretty sure the red deer from like New Zealand, as far as the alertness AI is concerned, I think it's just copy and paste from the other red deer. And I think the elk are just copy and paste from the red deer in Transylvania. I think the red deer in Transylvania were probably one of the first animals to be created, is my guess. It seems to have the most effort into it. And I think that AI was used, like the algorithms for their alertness and spooking was just copied over to the elk. And then I'm pretty sure it's just copied over to these New Zealand red deer. But yeah, so if you were to do the same thing that I just did with them, but replace them with red deer, would the red deer spook sooner or later? Or would it be the same? That's kind of what the poll's asking. Because I don't actually know. That's why I'm asking the poll, and I'm gonna do a little test on it. But that's what I'm getting at. So you can think of it that way, or replace them with elk. Would elk have ran sooner or later, or would it have been the same? See, I don't actually know. So maybe we'll get to the bottom of it. I want to see what the poll says. I mean, if it's overwhelmingly a 3-star mature. Well, there's no point taking him either. Oh well, I guess we're not doing any hunting this video. Oh well, I didn't make it far from the lodge or anything. That'll happen. But yeah, that's basically it. So check out that poll. And I mean, like I was saying, if it's overwhelmingly like, if pretty much the community's already decided that sambar either spook more or spook less or is the same, I might not do the test if it's already that. Like decided, but I might still. It depends on the results. So please go and vote on that one, and I'll see you in the next one. I don't know if that's what we'll be doing next time, but I'll be considering it. So anyways, thanks for watching, everybody. Happy hunting. Take care. See you later.